Do you not believe that the governments of Detroit and Puerto Rico also play a vital role that should be preserved, even if financial crisis makes it hard for them to borrow money?
What I believe is that that's not a job for the Fed. The Fed has a particular role and particular authorities, and lending to state and local governments and supporting them when they're in bankruptcy has not been part of our mandate.
We're going to strongly disagree. I do believe you do have the authority. Now, you've mentioned that in the face of another financial crisis, you would use the same tools of expanding the balance sheet and purchasing long-term bonds. In other words, more of the same, correct?
Yes.
So I'm afraid that's simply not good enough. Can you explain to me why we shouldn't, why shouldn't the Federal Reserve ensure that state and local governments have access to funding during times of stress?
So we have, as you know, limited authority. I think it's to buy short-term municipal obligations. We did do that in the 1970s briefly, and then have not done it since. I think a series of FOMCs and Fed chairs in all kinds of different political environments have thought of that as something that's not appropriate really for us, in the sense that it's government finance. That's to be dealt with by fiscal authorities rather than by the monetary authority. We focus on the job you've given us, which is maximum employment and stable prices, and to some extent also with other agencies we work on financial stability and bank supervision.
So, Chairman,
as opposed to the solvency of state and local government.
Well, yes or no, the Federal Reserve retains the ability to open emergency lending facilities. Is that accurate in stabilizing the economy?
Well, to financial institutions, we do.
So when the Fed step in to rescue banks in a crisis, is that because you believe their role in the economy is vital?
Well, really, because we had no choice to prevent the financial system from collapsing in 2007.
Yeah, no. I mean, my city filing bankruptcy was devastating to so many retirees, sir. 40, 50 years they worked for the city of Detroit, saw their pensions completely diminished, gone.
I will say that Bernie Sanders came
You guys are crazy!
You're an animal! Get a job!
Bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't. Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the mother.
In Vikingdom. Honestly, I've never felt more Palestinian than I ever felt in Congress. Even in Palestine, when I'm visiting my grandmother, I'm more American, like to the Palestinian. But I'm more Palestinian in the halls of Congress than I am anywhere in the country, in the world. And that just tells you just the fact that they weren't ready for us. They really weren't.
Because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they aren't racist. And it is insensitive that some would even say it's the fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman, in this chamber, in this committee, is alone racist in itself. Donald Trump is setting
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words be taken down.
President, I reclaim my time.
Mr.
Donald
Chairman,
Trump is setting a precedent.
Mr. Chairman,
that the highest office can be
Mr. Chairman, the rules are clear.
Mr. Chairman, I yield the rest of my time.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words, when she's referring to an individual member of this body, be taken down and stricken from the record. I'm sure she didn't intend to do this, but if anyone knows my record as it relates, it should be you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, I would like to...
Hold on.
I want the words read back.
No.
We want to know exactly what she said
about
a colleague.
Excuse me. Would you like to rephrase that statement, Ms. Tlaib?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can actually read it from here. Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, that just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they are racist. And it is insensitive that someone would even say racist, say it is racist in itself, and to use a black woman as a prop to prove it otherwise. And I can submit this for the record. If a colleague is thinking that that's what I'm saying, I'm just saying that's what I believe to have happened. And if, as a person of color in this committee, that's how I felt at that moment, and I wanted to express that. But I am not calling the gentleman, Mr. Meadows, a racist for doing so. I'm saying that in itself it is a racist act.
Well, I hope not, Mr. Chairman, because I need to be clear on this particular. Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Meadows, wait a minute.
I've defended you about
Mr. Meadows,
with false accusations.
Mr. Meadows, I'm the chair.
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you. I will clear this up. Now, Ms. Tlaib, I want to make sure I understand. You were not intending to call Mr. Meadows a racist, is that right?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not call Mr. Meadows a racist.
No.
I am trying,
Wait a minute, hold
as a
on.
person of color, Mr. Chairman, just to express myself and how I felt at that moment. And so, just for the record, that's what was my intention.
All right.